Good morning. Welcome to the next Daily 10. Today we're going to focus on another cadence, 4-6-8. Find yourself in a seated position, bed, couch, chair, pillow, doesn't matter. Sit upright, shoulders back, and inhale through the nose for 4 seconds. Pause and hold that breath at the top for 6 seconds, and then exhale fully through the nose for 8 seconds. So it's a 4-6-8 breath. Oftentimes we'll hear of things like hiking or yard work or swimming as meditative and relaxing. What that simply means is that it's encompassing enough for us to focus on one thing. So many times in life we are bombarded with different notifications, different texts, different stimuli. We're trying to balance all of these things at once, and we lose the ability to pull back and focus on one thing. In this moment, you're simply focusing on your breath or the position or the cadence. Take that skill with you as you go through the rest of the day. For the seated internal-external rotation, you're going to take turns letting both knees fall inside. Your weight's supported by your hands, you're leaning back, and your feet are planted outside of shoulder width. Let the inside knee fall to the ground. You're going to feel a stretch along the top of the hip on the inside and then potentially into the outside of the hip, so the very top of that femur. And you're going to rotate left and right. Really what you're focusing on is getting some motion in here to let that whole femur rotate smoothly within the joint. The glute bridge is the most important movement you can start with for the posterior chain. Feet stay planted on the ground, toes are spread, engaged with the ground. You're pushing through the whole foot. Make sure as you lift the hips up, the back does not arch. It should feel entirely like it's coming from the glutes. Don't overextend the back and keep your core engaged. Roll back and reach. You're going to roll back, hug your knees together. As you rock forward, you're going to exhale, straighten the legs, and then reach for the feet. Let the head tuck, get as much motion through the posterior chain. You're just rocking back and forth.
For the quadruped neck packing, the big thing to focus on here is not just nodding the forehead forward and backwards, but instead think about pushing the chin forward and pulling the chin back. This goes into developing the muscles in the neck and the face and really squeeze the top of each of these movements to engage as much musculature as possible. Alternating leg lift and push-up position, you're going to hold that position, keeping the core engaged, active hands and shoulders, and active feet and glutes. Then take turns lifting one leg up a few inches and bring it back down. So focus on the breath, exhale every time you engage in movement, exhale, lift up, replace, and switch. For the hanging arm circles, you're going to support yourself with one arm, and then the other arm is just going to dangle and it's going to pull down. And you're going to use your torso and your body and legs to make circles for that. This is a great way to passively engage some of the rotator cuff muscles and loosen the shoulder, especially if you have shoulder pain or anything that's keeping you from moving well. For our wrist rotations, you're going to put your hand in the Shakka position and you're just going to keep the elbow fixed and rotate that hand in and out and really squeeze and pause at the end of each range of motion. For the calf raises, I want you to spread the toes out and actively press the feet into the ground as you lift the heels up. Pause for a second at the top and then lower down. For the heel raises, it's the opposite of the calf lift. You're going to keep the weight on your heels and lift your toes up. You're going to feel the front of the shin you move as you lift up and down. Squeeze at the top to make sure you have control here. For the standing splits, you're going to pop your feet out wide. Then exhale as you sit into the hips and lean left, right, or down the middle. The point is that you're going to hinge at the hip and exhale. Think about lowering the rib cage and torso, not just rounding that back. You want to sit the hips back, exhale, and lower the body down by pushing the hips back.
Today we're going to talk about the importance of daily movement. And this is based off one simple fact. If you don't use it, you lose it. If you don't speak French, you're going to lose that ability to speak French. If you don't move and squat all the way down to a deep squat, you're going to lose that ability. If you don't use your ankles and get to full dorsiflexion, you're going to lose that too. Focusing on using it, even if it's just a little bit every day, will keep things limber and loose. It's like WD-40 on a rusty hinge. If you try and force the hinge, it'll snap, but if you put a little bit on there and let the movement be the lubrication, little by little, each rep will start to loosen that up. And it also becomes something part of your daily habit. Doing something once a month or once a week is not going to make up for the fact that the rest of your life you're never using or moving in that range of motion. Focus on the accumulation you'll get from the little tiny movements added up over time to create a solid foundation for mobility and joint stability.